Bible prophecy is active and unfolding daily. Zechariah 12, Isaiah 17, Psalm 83, Ezekiel 38. Here is what the LameStream Media is not telling you.
Shalom, my friends. Welcome to this week's newscast. The prophetic stage of events surrounding Israel is progressing with a sudden fury these past few months, my friends. And President Donald Trump's amazing move last week is beginning to show signs of even greater escalations. But as a quick side note, remember Genesis chapter 12, verse 3? The Father promised that whoever blesses Israel will be blessed, right? Trump certainly blessed Israel with his decision, and a few days later, when a would-be suicide attacker detonated a pipe bomb strapped to his body in the passageway connecting the Times Square and Port Authority subway stations in New York City, the bomb failed to fully detonate, and the attacker himself was the only one seriously injured. Hello? Can anyone explain that? Of course we can. Genesis 12:3. But here's a piece of news that really says something about Trump's move and how it is advancing Bible prophecy like nothing else could. From the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs, Iran is laying the groundwork to absorb tens of thousands of fighters from the Shiite Legion as they wind up the war against ISIS in Syria in order to build a military infrastructure to pursue its jihad against Israel on the Lebanese and Golan Heights borders. During Al-Quds Day celebrations, that is Jerusalem Day celebrations, this past June, Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah proclaimed that in the next war with Israel, he would open Lebanon's borders to tens of thousands of fighters from Yemen, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, and Iraq to come against Israel. And on December 9th, 2017, just 10 days ago, it was reported that the commander of the Iraqi Shiite militia toured the Lebanese-Israeli border with Hezbollah commanders. And from the Times of Israel, Iranian President Rouhani spoke with the leader of Hamas last week as Iran vowed to back the terror group in fighting Israel. And the commander of the IRGC's Quds force also spoke at the same time with Hamas military leaders, reassuring them that Iran will back Palestinians in their resistance to Israel. Now, I'm no longer keeping what I was calling a list of shepherds or whatever. What I'm doing now, my friends, is I'll be letting you know each week about anyone who has put out a worthy video, anyone who is truly feeding Yeshua's lambs. For example, last week, Pastor J.D. did one of the things he does that I just find inexcusable. First, he refers to the Father as Jehovah, an absolute abomination, a name that curses Abba Father Yahweh and gives credit to Satan. And then he went on to teach that the Father has many names. I could scream when teachers say such things. The Father makes it more than clear in his word that he has but one name, and that name is Yahweh, which we will call him and remember him by throughout the eternities of eternity. And all those other names, they're not names. They are descriptive titles. I have a descriptive title, singer-songwriter, but that is not my name. Anyway, because of that, last week I presented no link to Pastor J.D. and made no mention of his blunder. But this week I'm shouting out about him again, and you see a link for you to click on, because in his Middle East prophecy update last Sunday, he did one of those marvelous things that he does. He explains, like no one else can, or like no one else does, that there's no such thing as a Palestinian, and there is no such thing as a Palestinian state. You don't want to miss this one, my friends. Just one thing, please do not think for one single solitary minute that salvation is as simple a matter of Pastor J.D.'s ABC of salvation. There are many, many people who are churchgoers who have been lied to this way, and its damage is beyond belief, my friends, beyond knowing. If anyone thinks they can, A, admit they're a sinner, B, believe that Jesus is Lord, and C, call on his name, which, by the way, is never revealed to those who hear this little ditty. So the C part of this ABC ditty is left out. I have another link for you to one of my videos titled Salvation, Past, Present, and Future. If you haven't studied this one, my friends, you'll see that Pastor J.D.'s ABC thing is a very seriously damaging teaching. Turning to wars and rumors of wars. On Wednesday, December 13th, from Ynet News, in response to rocket fire at Israel from Gaza last Tuesday, the Israel Air Force attacked yet another Hamas military complex in Gaza. Israeli defense officials believe Islamic Jihad is behind the rocket fire in recent days. And from the Jerusalem Post, the IDF intercepted 2 rockets over the city of Sderot on Wednesday night, after Palestinians in Gaza launched a barrage of rockets at Israel for the 6th night in a row. Over a dozen rockets have been fired at Israel over the past week. Also, a Palestinian rocket fired at Israel earlier on Wednesday struck the Ghazi al-Shawa public school in Beit Hanun in Gaza and destroyed a classroom there. Then on Friday, December 15th, from Israel Hayom, a rocket was fired at Israel by Palestinians in Gaza and fell short, hitting the Beit Hanun home of a top Hamas official. Another example of terrorist organizations launching rockets at residents of Gaza. Turning to our Intifada update on Friday, December 15th, from I-24 News, a Palestinian was shot and killed after stabbing an Israeli border police officer outside the West Bank town of Ramallah. The Palestinian was wearing what looked like a suicide belt. Note, the terrorist used the media as a cover, standing among the journalists at the scene, pretending to be one as he prepared for the attack. Then on Sunday, December 17th, from Ynet News, a residential home in Israel near the Gaza border suffered damage from a rocket fired Sunday night from Gaza. There were no casualties, but the family's car was destroyed by shrapnel. Also, a Palestinian carrying 2 pipe bombs who tried to enter the Samaria military court near Salim was arrested earlier in the day. And looking at our review of last week's news. The prophetic stage of events surrounding Israel is progressing in greater ways since President Trump's supportive decision towards Israel was made last week. Iran is laying the groundwork to absorb tens of thousands of fighters to build a military infrastructure in pursuit of its jihad against Israel on the Lebanese and Golan Heights borders. Iranian President Rouhani has vowed to back Hamas and Palestinians in their resistance to Israel. The Israel Air Force attacked yet another Hamas military complex in Gaza. More than a dozen rockets have been fired at Israel from the Gaza Strip over the past week. A Palestinian was shot and killed after stabbing an Israeli border police officer outside the West Bank. A residential home in Israel near the Gaza border suffered damage from a rocket fired from Gaza. And a Palestinian carrying 2 pipe bombs tried to enter the Samaria military court near Salim, but was arrested. And that, my friends, is what the LameStream Media is not telling you. Abba willing, I'll see you here again next week. Until then, keep your wicks trimmed. Keep your lamps burning bright. Shalom.
Crowded rooms, I need more space than I consume. Enough is time alone with you, underneath a naked moon, sharing confidential moods and making chatter. Mockingbird nocturnal sings notations of eternal things, entering the quantum breeze, flying not for want of wings. He lights his gaze on you and me, simply because we matter.